Hey,
What's up, my dude?
yeah, things are going pretty good for me. Different software things I'm working on. Playing. I don't know if you ever played the game Balatro. I've been playing that.
Nope. Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's like you're sort of you make poker hands, and you can sort of accumulate small amounts of money to buy like power ups, and you make poker hands, and you're trying to get like as far as you can, and the you have to get more and more points each round. That's kind of it's got a lot of like a little addicting elements to it.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
gambling and addiction, those go hand in hand.
yeah. So what? I don't know. What have you been up to?
I was living a good life.
Hmm.
Some episodes of like depression and mental breakdown, that kind of stuff. But it's to be expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of stuff is interesting. It's never like escapable. Feels like no matter what position we're in, we're just kind of still facing those kind of things. But that's, I feel like that's like for like where does artistic motivation come from? I feel like it's dealing with that like depression, etc., and overcoming it is like a important fuel for our like creativity almost. But also it's kind of blocks us from feeling the motivation to make art.
Oh, I created a couple masterpieces, piano masterpieces, but still,
Yeah.
I'm not immune to depression. I'm not immune to just having a bad day. It just happens, like when you have PTSD and it kind of just creeps up. Now, I know that my brain is wired a certain way, and I try to honor my limitations, but I also have
Mm.
learned that, well, I've learned that the brain is plastic and can be changed with repeated, consistent stimulation experiences. And so this is the idea of like exposure therapy, where you expose yourself to new things, get yourself out of the comfort zone. But if it's impacting you and your health, and that like your numbers are coming back in the red, like you're at risk for insulin resistance because your cortisol is always spiked, or you have a lipid profile shift where now your HDL is low and your LDL is high, which puts you at risk of like heart disease and other stuff like that, then you really got to like take a pause and figure out what the best way forward is, because constantly putting yourself out there, that exposure therapy and experiencing that stress, yes, you're trying to give your brain new experiences to overcome the trauma and the fact that like it perceives everything, in my case it perceives most things as a threat, but it's like you do that and then it's now affecting your physical body because your amygdala is just crazy and always firing for no fucking reason and causing you to release cortisol, and you're just sitting there doing nothing
Mm.
because some noise went off or you thought about something that was stressful. It's, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, like I have a lot to be thankful for. I'm very comfortable considering my age, and I'm trying to keep my
Mhm.
health in order and stay active and that kind of stuff because I got some injuries. But yeah, no, I'm not immune to depression and stuff. So it's, but what's good though is like I think I have a way forward, and it comes down to like listening to your body, to your organism and what it needs. And you can't do that if you're masking it, if you're masking the symptoms with painkillers, drugs, alcohol,
Right. Yeah.
seeking the next high. If you're doing that, then you're just ignoring what it is your organism needs. My
Yeah,
concern
that's
that
something
is
that makes a lot of sense.
my main concern is like stars align, things are perfect, and yet I'm still not content. Like I'm worried about that because deep down I believe that civilization is bad for our health and for our organism. It's incompatible. I say bad, but it's incompatible in that 6 million years we were in Kenya, evolving as a species. Last million years migrating around the planet, settling, and then last what 10,000 years agriculture evolution, maybe a little bit longer. Like that's how old our civilizations are, and it's like a blink of an eye in the history of our species. And having all this infrastructure and bureaucracy and all this made up shit that we have to follow, these imaginary stressors, these deadlines. Like I'm thinking about my taxes now.
Oh yeah.
And the numbers and like expenses and this and that and these rules and that rule applies if A plus this and C is that, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh.
exactly. Yeah.
But my concern is that like I'm starting to feel like I'm trapped in an invisible prison, and I have a lot of freedom compared to a regular
Mhm.
prison cell, but I still feel trapped. There's nowhere I can go on this planet that isn't controlled by one state or another that I'm aware of. At least nowhere where I would want to go. I don't want to go to the Arctic or sorry, Antarctica is I think one place that's free from the states. Sort of like a joint thing, but I don't want to live there. The penguins, I'm good. As cool as penguins are, I don't want to live with them. So it's like I'm always gonna have a collar around my neck, accountable to some entity, and I just don't feel like there's any true freedom.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Uh, that's sort of like I sort of feel, and like along those same lines, I wonder. Like it's almost like if we imagine like someone who is like in a prison cell, at least they for sure they know like they're confined to that cell, so they going going places like physically visiting another place as the answer is like off limits to them. So the only option they have, like they have to work under the constraints they have, which means all they can do is sort of sit there and think essentially, and maybe like get the very limited, like if they get a book, they have this one book, they read it, and and there's no distraction almost. And so then it's sort of like very clear, like the journey that that person can go on is like one that is mental and not sort of they're not distracted by all the places they could visit and whether the answer like lies somewhere else. But then for us, it's like theoretically we're free to travel all over like the earth, which is like all of the places that anyone's ever gone. And but then it sort of feels like but the answer like doesn't feel like it's there, but it's like maybe it's there. So I guess we have to spend like our time like journeying around searching for some kind of meaning in physical space, but that takes up a lot of energy that it's like it sort of feels like more likely we just need to do like some internal work in our mind to find the answer. But it's annoying like sort of having this anxiety of like it's like maybe I should go explore other areas. Like maybe the answer is not internally, but like so it's almost like this it's a little bit of a it's this annoying distraction that we can't get rid of that like the answer lies like somewhere out there, which technically we're free to go. So if we don't go, it's our own fault for like not finding it. But at the same time, it sort of feels like I kind of want to ignore that stuff and just I wish I had a lot more constraints so that I just could follow like the path that's in front of me and surely that would lead somewhere and then I wouldn't at least doubt myself constantly that I'm not making use of like another option that I have.
Yeah, like you know what? Before all this other shit, when we were living in tribes, bands, tribes, whatever. Our main task, outside of like working within like a social structure and like working together, is to get food. For whatever, this is my theory. The right now it's like with the fridges and us doing the bulk shopping and only having to get food once every like couple weeks, and if we're hardcore once a month, that we have like deep freezers and whatever. I my theory is that if you go outside on a daily basis to get yourself some food, local market, in order to make yourself some food, I wonder if that can be enough. Sounds ridiculous, but think about it,
Like almost like that would be like a daily meditation style. Like if,
No,
yeah.
just a daily, like, going out and getting food. Think about what every other living creature does on a day-to-day basis. They're out on the prowl looking for a mate, looking for food, and then occasionally stopping for, assuming they're a mammal or an animal that needs water, stopping for fresh water when available, or not fresh water. That's it. That's how simple their fucking lives are. Now we live in like, we are not gregarious. We are, but what I mean is like we're social, like we're wired for social protection because we're not exactly a strong species. So there's a social component, we got to work together, but that's it. And that's how it's been for most of our existence. And that was enough. But I think we overcomplicate things with social media and comparing ourselves to others, and the fact that, money's the thing and we have to work a day job. But in my case, the day job isn't necessary. I don't have to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it is like you have an extra burden of having to fill that time yourself rather than being dictated like what you use it for. That could be, and that is challenging.
But like going out, exploring different markets, different sources of food, different cafes, that could be satisfying enough if you did that on a daily basis. And you kept your fridge, with some foods, like what you needed for our day, maybe to have some things in the background in case the economy falls apart and there's no food in the grocery stores anymore. But like checking out different markets, going to different farms, different supermarkets, seeing what's available. You can even like compare prices if you really gave a shit. I don't really fucking care, but there's people who care about that stuff. But keeping yourself busy with the primal task of getting food. And then you can compound the difficulty level if you want to mate and then go and on fucking Tinder or whatever. I don't know if that's really the best idea right there, but like meeting people out in public seems to be weird. A lot of people don't know how to fucking talk anymore, at least from my experience. So it's, if you don't have a full-time mate, I mean, that could be the other mission. Go out there and to like find a partner and procreate, whatever. And then your life gets infinitely more complex when you have a child, but that also can give somebody a sense of purpose, rearing an infant, raising a child. And
Yeah, that
outside of
too.
that, what's our
Yeah.
purpose? Besides, get food, survive, procreate. Why does it have to be more complicated than that? Why do we need to leave a legacy? Do we really
Yeah,
need
maybe
to?
that like the other pillar is like communication. Like whatever when we are doing those things, we're like a pack animal and we have like a need to like communicate and listen to like others. And maybe that's a little bit like the maybe leaving a legacy is a little bit like people are mistaken. Like actually they just want to like sort of communicate and share their lessons. They feel a need to like contribute back to the body of like the tribe and the knowledge. And legacy is just like one way that they feel like they want to be remembered just in general, but they should just kind of focus in a bit more and like distill the lessons they've learned and pass those on. Like the legacy is kind of just like a more of a general.
That's what you need, and that's what you want. Then have children, raise
Mm-hmm.
them properly. Like that's really that's the best legacy I think people can leave behind. I mean, yeah, you can create a company or whatever, have influence online, but who fucking cares? Really, what matters is your family, and we can't really do much about the family that we're given, like the extended family. Mine's kind of a write-off. Um, I I could pass on all the knowledge. I could teach them everything, and they still won't learn. Like
Yeah.
it should.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes they're just incapable. They're unwilling. They're too distracted. They're coping, and they're just surviving, and they can't learn. I don't understand it personally because I've never been that way, but yeah, no, I've seen it. Like I've tried to teach my family about creating a balance sheet and tracking expenses because they had 3 different streaming platforms and 2 different internet providers, and their internet bills
Wow.
were insane. I was just like, this is not ethical. Like the fact that these bills are this high, like something's going on, and because you're not tracking your own shit, that you can't even flag it. And just basic tracking of expenses, can't even do it. Even offered to do it, wouldn't even receive the support from me. Like I was going to do it all for them, but they're so buried in their own problems that they can't even do the first step to get themselves out of it, which is identifying what the problems are. And so, yeah, I'd be like, I want to say put energy into family, but sometimes that is more damaging than good. And in my case, yeah, it's not applicable. But for a lot of other people, why not? Hell yeah. Be remembered by your family or have your own family, create your own. I think that's where it's really at.
Yeah,
Be
the
remembered.
family bonds are interesting to me. I don't fully understand like a group of tight friends or something seems like it should be similar to like family, but it never quite somehow family just like the natural bonds are there somehow, but it's not doesn't really make sense. Like it feels like one should be able to just kind of choose a collection of people and then if it's like a mutual like it's all it has to be is mutual like understanding of like family sort of level trust or something.
Yeah.
I guess that's what people do when they find like partners and yeah, they sort of have kids, they develop these bonds that are more stable.
Hopefully.
But yeah, the whole kid thing, yeah, like I feel like there's so many raising a kid is so complicated now, like informational wise, that it doesn't feel like maybe it's like natural to like want to have kids, but it feels like raising a kid is just being bombarded with like so much more bureaucratic like stuff that you have to do.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Then there's that
yeah,
too. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
talking if you start adding in all of the other potential inputs, care providers, educational providers, stuff like that. If you start involving yourself with the system, then yeah, those are so many random unknown variables that's why I kind of don't want kids, is because it's just insane. There's uh, there's too many things that can go wrong, and for me in my situation, and I need control given my PTSD and stuff. I just would not handle it well. And that's my
yeah,
reality. So it's not in the cards for someone like me, and that's why I have to honor that, and that's why I'm not having kids, because I even though I'd be a great parent, it would be at the cost of my health. And I want to be healthy. I want to live a long life. I don't feel compelled to I need to leave a legacy. And if anything, I would say it would be my piano, because that seems to be a gift. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen actually. Like, it is more common people not having kids these days. I feel like I am planning to like not have kids. Uh, but I haven't seen so many. Like, it'd be interesting to read like a book about like what do people claim that having kids does, and if someone is gonna not have kids, what are some like what's the replacement things for whatever a kid delivers one in life? Like, how do we like I feel like
um,
it's maybe important to have a artistic pursuit. Like, you should almost like raise your artistic pursuit as like a child, and the like the lessons that you would have embedded into the kid, just embed those into your art. And then it's sort of like whoever looks at your art is like a child of your teaching or something.
yeah, I don't know. It's like people have animals care for. Well, I'm fucking doing bunny ears when I say care, because some people don't care for their animals. But the idea is like the company and having a dependent taking care of something feels good. I suppose nurturing something, growing something feels good. Um, yeah, no, it just circling back to like the conditions can be optimal, absolutely optimal, and I still think just because of the environment, the system that we're in, yes, it creates so many wonderful opportunities and things to do, but at the same time, it kind of traps us.
Mhm.
And like I'm aware of the trap, and because of the awareness, I'm like it feels closing. And when that happens, that's why I experience the depression, because I don't feel like I can escape.
Yeah.
Part of me kind of,
Yeah, I can probably relate to that. I feel like I've experienced similar thoughts.
yeah, like in the military, it was easy because like there was a fairly straightforward path, and it was a path that somebody else decided for me, which was part of the problem. And then I realized that nobody was actually deciding the path. It was me just plugging holes in a sinking ship, and that didn't feel good. And once I found that out, I was just like, oh, geez, just another reason to get out.
Yeah.
I actually thought somebody was steering the ship, but there wasn't anybody. And I was just like, oh, wow. But it was simple. It was like there's I had to show up to work. I had to do this. I had to do what was expected. And if I didn't, then I'd have the military police call on me, and that was that. So, but now with all this freedom, yeah, it's all this time, it makes me wonder. But I tend to like going to the market. The one that's close by is ultra expensive, but it feels like I have like this sense of accomplishment
Mhm.
when I'm done. Like I get a few groceries and make a meal with it. It feels like it's something. Is it really like the ideal lifestyle that the human body needs? No, because like we should be in nature, surrounded by nature, and we should know the land and live off the land, essentially. Not as a farmer, because that's activating some form of easy mode by farming and planting. I mean, it's a thing, but truly, like if you could live off the land as a forager, that'd be optimal. But then that is geographically that's is limited by the geographical area, as history has shown us. And unfortunately, North America isn't the greatest for living off the land. Like if you're gonna go forage and stuff, like yeah, it's
Yeah,
not the
that's
easiest.
uh yeah, before you're talking about like going out and getting food, I feel like a lot of people garden. A lot of people plant like a small amount of food in their garden, and they will put like, take care of it, eat it. And that actually feels like different variation on, like, instead of going to the local market, like going and planting food in a garden, and then, like, even if it's not that much food, not that many times a year, it's still like another way to go outside and feel like you've done your job as a human, like get some food.
Yeah, I know it's something. I mean, it's probably the best option we have in North America. Unless like we were raised in an indigenous community and like know all the food sources and even but then you would have to like live as a band or a tribe and it'd be a tough life because you got to deal with winter, cold season, and like fall and spring are also kind of cold too. So it's like if you want to, yeah, it's a tough way to be, and that's why there things panned out the way it did. There wasn't any like massive empire up in this area, like in North America or like like Canada. Yes, there was the Mesoamerican, like the Inca, Meso, whatever. There's like the two empires that were kind of like
Yeah.
Central America area, a little bit Mexico area, um, but not this far north. It was basically just like tribes, bands. Okay, maybe some chiefdoms, but it there was no there was no civilization and like domesticated animals, mass agriculture, not like in Europe, and that's why this continent was conquered instead of vice versa. And you learn that from guns, germs, and steel. So it's like the conditions here are tougher. And it wasn't until all the crop packages and animal packages were shared that we were able to boom here as a population. Like when the UK and France and fucking Spain came to conquer, to colonize, actually, is what I should say. When they came to colonize the
Yeah,
area.
in terms of like the history I learned in school, the only thing I remember is like they kept talking about the fur trade. There was like a bunch of people trading fur in like Canada by canoe.
It was definitely part of it.
That's a weird era.
Yeah, but just us showing up, we wiped out most of the population that was here because of our germs. So they don't really talk about that piece. But yeah, we were kind of dicks with the smallpox blankets, but
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even need to do that. Honestly, just us breathing on them caused a lot of issues. And then, like, it didn't just affect the coast where we showed up; it traveled into the mainland when infected people went back to their homes. So, yeah, what am I getting at here? Basically, I kind of know what the optimal way of life would be for us, but it's difficult. And our brains, the way we are, we like to take the path of least resistance, which is part of the problem because civilization has made things too easy. Like you literally have to go out of your way to
Hmm. Oh, to like face challenge. Yeah.
to face challenge, to like not use a car to
Yeah.
get the place. It means you're gonna have to walk or take a bicycle or whatever, or you know. You could choose not to go to the markets, but then you're growing your own food, assuming you have land and the ability to do that. Not many people do. So it's like you wanna up the difficulty and be more active. Like you literally have to go against your fucking programming, which is to take the path of least resistance. Go to a supermarket once every 2 weeks and load your fridge.
Hmm. There does seem
So
to
it's like,
be as well this thing where if you write down, if you'd like create like a plan that someone follows that is like the ideal life, they won't like enjoy it because they don't want to follow like a plan. So that's like an issue where every time we stumble upon like the correct routine that makes us feel happy, as soon as we become like aware that it's a routine and it's more of like a scripted thing, then we like want to change it to something fresh just for something different. But that's, to me, that's a struggle because I want to sort of feel like there is like a correct answer, like the most sustainable, like happiness bringing like routine that could just be like repeated. But in itself, like that removes the challenge. Like the challenge is like developing that routine. So you can never like have it fully developed. It always has to be like changing almost. And that's annoying because it like can't be spoken almost, because then as soon as you like explain to someone what it is, it you need to like change it.
Well, the general thing is like moderate physical activity every day. Ideally, do it in the morning when your hormones are optimal for it, because cortisol and for men, testosterone is the highest in the morning, and then it kind of goes down from there. But yeah, so it's like eating healthy and wash and repeat. It's like it's really that simple. It's not that complicated. Oh, and good consistent sleep. So I guess that's the hard part. It's like with all the stimulation
Right.
that we have, it's like if you have to be up at a certain time, I guess that kind of forces you to go to bed. But if you don't have that restriction or that, imperative, then it's like easy to
Oh
stay
yeah.
up because we have all this artificial light. But yeah, consistent sleep is also like super important.
Oh, have you been doing for that? Have you Do you tend to stay up late if in that way, or are you good
Dude,
about
I do.
that?
I'm not good. No.
Yeah, because then it's hard. Yeah, it's like you get into a cycle, right? Like you you're tired, you sleep during the day, you stay up later, you sleep during the day. Yeah, I find that if I'm tired and I take a nap during the day, then I don't fall asleep, and then I'm like tired the next day, and it's hard to break that. Even just having like a reason to get up every morning, it's hard to break that. So then having
Yeah.
like the flexibility is tough.
Well, in my scenario, the issue is, um, things could be optimal. I could be going to bed at a good time, and then I have nightmares out of nowhere, and I'm fucked. Like I'm just fucked. And then like I don't want to suffer throughout the day, so then I'll sleep in a bit more than I should, and that throws things off. And like I want to go to bed when I'm tired, right? So I'm sleeping in a little bit later, so I don't suffer throughout the day. Well, then it's really easy to get thrown off track if you have nightmares.
Hmm. Do you think something like lucid dreaming could be a partial way to cope with nightmares?
I have no idea like I know what it is, but I have no
Yeah,
idea.
you got it. I think there's like
No.
different s- resources that can help someone. Like there's different apps or websites or like material about how to trigger it. I think I've done it by accident, like a little bit sometimes, and I feel like it's pretty. It actually, because I occasionally I have like a very mild like nightmare, and I find that actually that triggers sort of a lucid state where, like the nightmare occurs, and then that sort of triggers me to realize like, like it almost like triggers. It's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why is this thing coming after me? That triggers me to realize that it is a dream, which then well, either I'll wake up or I'll sort of be able to like lightly enter a lucid dreaming state where I just like don't take the nightmare like as serious, or I can sort of like mildly modify it, but usually that causes me to like wake up not too long after. But I find that's actually so I sort of associate like sort of fear in dreams with like it makes it easier to realize that it is a dream, and then it's like, well, I can do whatever I want in this
Like, well,
space,
I can
and
do.
then it makes me feel good. Yeah.
You say that last part again? Sorry.
Oh, just that that like the like having a nightmare for me is like a loss of it. It starts this loss of control or something. But the lucid dreaming makes me realize like, oh, this is like a creative space, and I can dream. I can, like, once you realize it's a dream, it's like, oh, I can alter this to be whatever I want, and that suddenly is like this like like it sort of takes a situation where I'm in very little control and then gives me like complete control. And that ends up me leaving me very satisfied because it sort of feels like it's this space where it's like, oh yeah, like I do control my own mind and I can a dream is a very nice thing to have control of. And then during the waking hours, there's a lot of things that stress me out that I believe I don't have control over, but it should be the same thing. Like, especially when I'm awake, I should be able to like feel positive if I want to. But for whatever reason, it's like easier in a totally fake environment like a dream if I realize that it's fake.
Yeah. The problem with me, like my dreams are completely, fully uncontrollable.
Yeah, there's weird techniques that they seem to be worth trying, I think, where it's like whenever you feel like a loss of control during the day, like ask yourself if it's a dream. And then if you feel that same like loss of control in a dream, you ask that same question and it gives you like a branching point to sort of realize in the dream that it is a dream. Uh, but I think stuff like that actually works somehow, and it's a pretty neat. It's almost like yeah, it's like I've never looked at hypnosis or something like that, but it feels like hypnosis where it's like basically it's just like your brain can do whatever it wants, but if you get your brain into a state where you can start to like use the creativity of the brain but blend that with reality, then you have like ability to just kind of like alter how your brain's interpreting stuff, but in a way where you don't really realize you're doing it, so that the reality that you're experiencing is like shaped how you want. And that's I guess it's weird. It's like a weird space to be in, but it's kind of seems interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, it seems interesting. But yeah, I have no idea when it
Yeah.
comes to the dreaming piece.
Yeah.
No
Yeah. Even
clue.
people don't know. Some. Yeah. It's sort of. I don't think anybody has a clear understanding, but it is something that like it would be cool if you know if, like just like people can learn to like wiggle their ears or whatever. It would be cool if there was like a science around like you can just learn this like extra skill like whenever we're asleep we can just decide to like enter a state where we're basically in like full VR almost. That would be pretty cool like thing to come out like if we sort of learn what's going on there.
I like to think that it is possible to do all that fancy stuff, just like, how monks can meditate and
Yeah.
even like control their temperature and pain and stuff like that. Like I think if you put the energy, the effort in, it can be taught to ourselves. It's just, yeah, going about doing it. It's probably a lot of effort.
Yeah, and it's unclear where to put the effort too. It's hard to pick up on like what are we, what first it's like first of all, what are we trying to like accomplish? How do we even get started? Is a you just gotta like yeah, it's like so much meditation and searching different frames of mind or something.
Hmm. Well, my dude, I'm for a reason feeling pretty tired and starting to fade. Um,
Mm.
yeah, no, it's kind of how it is when I have an episode like I did. Throws
Mm.
everything off, and but you know what? Actually, what I wanted to say is like what got me out of it was gratitude, and it's really like one of the hardest things to do when you're in that state and the world's collapsing in around you. Like you don't really seem to have that perspective.
Right.
But yeah, there was a moment where I was able to break free from sort of like this sort of holding pattern that was on me,
That's nice.
and but it was through gratitude I was actually able to come back to my senses and eventually have the desire, what's the word? The will to stand back up, the will to carry on with my day. And, definitely then looking forward to having coffee and bacon or whatever I enjoy was a good incentive to get going with the day. But yeah, gratitude, it keeps coming back to that appreciation for what it is we have. But
Yeah, that's a good core thing. Yeah.
Good if we chat another time.
Yeah, that works.
All right, buddy.
We'll see you next time.
Catch you later.